Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Angel's Perspective for the month of November. For those ones who are joining us for the first time, what is the Angel's Perspective? This is a channel message where the angels and guides share with us the energy of the month, and they also share with us practical guidance that can help us to navigate these energies. Welcome, and my name is Claudia. And today, before we start, I would like to bring a gentle reminder what the angels and guides always share with me. And they said it's important, especially for this month. And from now on, it's always important to do this. This is like the key. This is basically the recipe for us to connect with them, for us to have clarity. But more than ever, this month, we have to be really, really present in our heart. So being heart-centered and grounded, it is the key for us to have the clarity, to be in this attunement where we can hear the guidance and feel the guidance with more easily, and everything will come a little bit more clear. The information will come also more gentle, because sometimes when we are too open, but we're not heart-centered and grounded, sometimes we can receive information that can come quite abrupt, and we feel a little bit overwhelming. So the key for this is being heart-centered and grounded. This month, we've been encouraged to really hear with our heart, see with our hearts, feel with our hearts, okay? They want us to go inwards. That's going to help us. Since this month, let's just do a little recap. We just came from two big events. We have two eclipses, right? We had a new moon and we had a full moon, and we have so much energy moving in there. This last one we have in this lunar eclipse, we had, I believe it was Mercury, and we had Scorpio energy, we had Taurus energy, full moon, so much happening. But this is so perfect because it might feel chaotic at times, but this is the process of cleansing. This is a process that is helping us to really move and bring things up so that we are able to see it with more clarity and say, oh, okay, I don't need this anymore. Or when sometimes we feel that we have already worked on something and it comes up again, it's like, okay, just to realize that perhaps it will not trigger you the same way they did before, but also to show you that you move to the next level, right? And we are going in this spiral. We will never go through the same thing over and over again. It's not a circle. We do a spiral. So we might be presented with same things and situations, but there's never the same, okay? But the opportunity always to overcome and transcend is there. And it'll come also to be shown for us and to see where we are in that lesson. Are we already done with that lack of confidence? Are we done with the fear of this? Or perhaps now I just, I understand it and I embrace it, and it's helping me where I am in my path. So we can feel these energies of these eclipses even 6 months from now, 6 months before. So just be aware of that, especially if it comes, some of these energies at times that you don't know, that perhaps it's like nothing really happening. It's like, where is this coming from? And I'm going through this. These are things that continue moving. So just be compassionate with yourself, heart-centered and grounded, and not judging yourself, okay? It's very important for all of us right now to be aware of that, because we tend to be quite harsh with ourselves. So one of the biggest things in this month is that we're going to be tracking our fears, and then that way we will find our desires, okay? But how do we get there? How will we go there? What will be the outcome? How can we really do this? First, again, be heart-centered and grounded. As this month comes with all of this, continue this ball of cleansing, right? It's just moving many things. Sometimes you might be feeling a little bit in chaos, and perhaps feeling that you're losing things, or you're in the middle of making big decisions, right? But when everything is moving so fast, it is very hard to know what to do, when to do, and all of that. So heart-centered, grounded, and then you are gonna do what you know that you need to do. This month, in order for us to see the clarity, we've been encouraged to use our inner spark, our light, to bring the light out and just really shine it out there. That's our own light is the one that's going to shine our path. as we go through these changes in the world so fast, sometimes we feel confused. We don't know what to do, where to go, as we see so much chaos. It is very hard sometimes taking those decisions. So how and where you go to yourself. You have all the information, everything that you need, it is within. And when you access to this and bring it out, you will see that your steps will be light up one at a time. They say, they've been sharing with me in the past couple of weeks, actually, they will never be able to show us, perhaps the majority of us, right, the whole staircase, because we might be feel overwhelmed about what we see. Perhaps we feel like, oh my God, I cannot do that. But it's not like that. So that's why we've been shown one thing at a time, since something to consider, because we also are encouraged to see things beyond what our physical eyes see, to use our clairvoyance and really trusting that process, trusting our inner knowing, trusting everything that we know that is there, and learn how to really connect with ourselves and trust, because this is something that we have lost for a long time, that connection with ourselves, generations after generations, right? We've been going through this understanding that we have to believe and we have to take the things from the outside in order for us to change, but it's the other way around. So the outside is just showing us, that where we need to go, really, and it's the next action when we ask, what do I need to do? Is like, do you like what you see outside? If not, what will be the next thing that you need to do? Okay, what can I do within the next 24 hours? That's an action that we have to do. So we are encouraged to see beyond our physical eyes, and remember that the future does not exist. It is created by our intentions of the now. So what kind of world, what kind of life, what kind of whatever you wish to do or experience, we like. So it is important to know that, because the universe will never hear our words. They will hear the frequency that we emit with from our heart, right? So that's so important. That's how we know whether we are in coherence or not. And when we are confused, they always say it's because you are not heart centered. So when we have this not knowing what to do, is that we do actually know what we need to do, what we want to do, but our mind will always take its part and saying, hey, maybe this is not the time, bringing a little confusion in here, because it wants us to feel safe, it wants us to be safe, and that's okay, because that is its job. So what we need to do here is, when we are heart centered, we will receive this divine guidance and thank for this warning sign to say, hey, I appreciate this, that you're taking care of us, but guess what, it's going to be fine, because we feel that we know it's going to be all good. Once we acknowledge this part of ourselves, our ego, mind, and all that, our ego will say, okay, that's cool. Well, thank you for acknowledging, that, I was feeling a little uncomfortable because we haven't experienced like this before. And now we, you're assuring that part that it's going to be okay. So it's very important, because those are the things that will stop us for doing things and limiting us for doing things. So the future will not exist. It does not exist. It is created by the now intentions. So what are your intentions? What would you like to do? Why are you doing that? Why did you want that? It's so important also to connect with those questions, since the questions are the answers, because the more we dig in, the more we will know and find out. Often we are really build up beliefs, and we are conditioned by many things that are not necessarily who represents who we prefer to be and who we really are. So very important to do that, because once you understand that, you would do what you know that you need to do, and requires that, like, okay, I hear it, I know what I need to do, I'm gonna see things beyond what my eyes are telling me, because my eyes are limited. Our physical eyes really has limitations. It's always a part that you can see, but when you use your clairvoyance and you use your psychic abilities, you can see more beyond. It's like, or perhaps you can visualize yourself becoming this eagle, and you can see things from above. So then you can see the possible, outcomes of the situations, but not getting stuck into that about, which one, or, which one is wrong or is right, because in reality, none of them are, there's no wrong or right. if there's an analogy that was shared with me earlier today, is about, a river flows, and when you go through the river, it's not easy, even though perhaps the river is the path that you need to take. It'll have these challenges. Perhaps there's some areas of rapids, and perhaps there's rocks, and you have to be, slippery here, but it makes it quite the adventure, right? And then what we consider to be the wrong or the mistake or the failure, when we go to the other side and say, okay, maybe it seems like this is an easier way to go, but then we realize that it's actually more resistance, and we try to fight to get in there, and then you go there, and then you realize that you get stuck, and perhaps it was not a river, but it was a lake. But the time that you were there, and then you perhaps went around and around the lake, you get to see people, get to have some experience that otherwise you would never had if you were only in the river. So it's still good. Now, when you realize it's like, oh, that was not necessarily the type of water that I wanted to be. I wanted to be on the moving water on this end. That's perfect. Then you will go there, because there's some people that need to be on the lake, because people are, we have everything. We have all sorts of people that we want all sorts of things. So you need to recognize which one is the right thing for you. And that will bring us with, trust in the process, because when we go through these changes, and right now, the next month, we will see a lot of changes coming around the corner and quite rapidly. And so we are encouraged to really trust in our abilities, in our knowing, and trust in our talents, especially when we are changing, because each one of us, we are equipped with what we need, right? So it is just that we have to really recognize them, and recognize that my ability, perhaps, that I have, I don't know, let's say to speak, it is there if I use it in the right way. Often we feel limited and we feel fearful, because maybe that talent, it was judged before, right? You speak too much, or perhaps you're a good painter, but it's like, oh, you know what, that's not going to leave you money, whatever. So you recognize your talent, your abilities, and you take them, in this process, and pass all this to your heart, because we will feel the need, really, also that to know that, to have an outcome. So when we take this leap of faith, and we, more than a leap of faith, I would say, we hear our knowing and say, okay, I know where I need to go. There is that physical part of us that we want to have certainty what's going to happen, right? But know that whatever decisions and whatever we do right now, maybe some things will be coming like in fluctuation very quickly. But most of the things that we are doing, we will see really a lot of the results, okay, in our actions, thoughts, and whatever we decide to do at this point. Even if you are, planting a seed, you will see the results, or coming up more of the results in the spring. So whatever decisions we are taking have global ways, and right now, the effect, we will see most of this in the spring. So again, going back to, let's make sure that we are aware of what we are asking, what we're thinking. Now, we are just also guided to what are the things that we need to really in our emotional part, because we will be presented with situations that will help. We will be quite emotional, and it has to do a lot with our family, with our ancestors, with our just transcend those limited beliefs that we have. Okay, and that comes from the ancestral patterns that we have, and sometimes we perhaps feel that we are limited, as many of the things, the beliefs that we have, come from generations. So many of these things are in our DNA. Other ones are from this life, other ones are from the tradition where we are in a culture. And it's sometimes hard to take the step that we know that we need to do, because we have to break chains, perhaps. And maybe it will be a little bit hard, as we're doing something different in our family, it has been done for a long time. Perhaps it is the tradition that you're breaking out, that that those things perhaps for you are not aligning with who you really are. And when you honor that, it is hard, as it is a very vulnerable time, and we might feel that we will be losing our protection, or we perhaps are failing to to our ancestors, but no, trust me, you are incarnating each one of them. Their cells are in your cells. So when you transcend, when you evolve, they also do that. This is what we call the ancestral healing, and it happens within ourselves, in our bodies. Literally, it's not outside of us, it's within us. All of this is happening within us, and we are the incarnation of all of that. So that's why when we do something different, perhaps in a tradition, in a family, maybe there will be someone who always wanted to do something, but it never did because it was quite strong at the time, that you cannot change and you have no choice, you have to continue doing. And you do that, you are healing your ancestor right there, because they do know, you will never fail them, because they do know what it's all about. And so it is not easy breaking those patterns. So, but the spirit, the soul is way more stronger, okay, than genetics. So it's so important to know that, because you have everything that you need to do these changes. So where do we need to bring our attention, and where do we need to put direct our actions and attentions, is to be aware of messages, okay? Away from important information that can help us and assist us in taking these decisions, okay? So once we figure out, what I said, that we do want to know, and we want to do, and we know what we need to do, and what is taking into place, okay, all the changes, all the trust, and all of that. Now, before you take, and before each one of us do something quite rapidly, is, okay, what am I hearing? Because if I want to I want to move this place, okay, is this really a good place for me? And perhaps you hear things that they might make you feel that you doubt about it. And some people might say, oh no, it's fine, you can just go there. So it is important for you, before you take any decisions, to take a note and do a little research and find out where this information coming from. Is that really aligning for, does it really resonate with you? Very important, because we might hear things that not necessarily align with ourselves, and we ended up taking decisions that we are more just pushed to do so, rather than, or more reactive. We just react rather than give us a pause, and ask ourselves, if this is something that I need to take action at this time or not, or what kind of action, right? What kind of intention I need to put there. Now, once we see that, because we might get, when we might be feeling a little bit threatened, we have to embrace the peace, the energy of peace, because in this transformation of your being, and this transformation that the world is going through, we have to do it. We have to be firm yet peaceful. But there's many triggers out there, because in this process, right, there is a lot of things that come out. And this is a time for us to embrace stillness, embrace the peacefulness, and really be heart-centered and grounded, be firm, because we are going through changes. Changes are happening, and they're always happening. That's how we evolve, the evolution. We are here because of evolution, and the changes are constantly happening. But we can do this in more harmonious way. So it is super important to surround ourselves in places and situations that help us to sustain that energy, especially when you're doing these changes and these transitions, okay? Now, where with these changes, there is also the time before you take those actions right away, to take the introspection and really see how far you have come, because perhaps you will react before to something really quickly, and now you realize that, I don't do this anymore. Actually, this is actually pretty cool. It is important to take a reflection to see how far you have come. What is it outside? How do you like what you see? If there's anything that you don't like, how can I do a change? What would it take for me to do that change? What would it take for me to change that specific part of my life that perhaps is not aligning anymore, because we change or we don't want it really? And why is there? It's so important to do that, because this is going to help us to work more from the heart, and more in communities, because we will be able to be understanding others as they are going through their own path. So having that moment of introspection, that give yourself that time, the special quality of time that you need in order for you to reflect on where you are and recognize how far you have gone, because you're not the same person you were years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago. So important to do that. And this is the energy. When we do this, if you see it as a spiral, okay, this is going to help us to see what are our desires, because then when you're in your heart and you know what you need to do, you have your desires, but why we haven't been able to do it, why and what has stopped us for me to do this, there is the fear. And the fear, it is the door, is the portal to possibility. And the fear is there to showing us something. It's a messenger. The fear is there to say, hey, I need you to look at this, okay? Because otherwise we will not pay attention to that. The fear is there for us to make ourselves to do the change. Otherwise we will never be able to move forward. So we have to become these hunters, and we have to track our dreams and track in your fears, in your desires. Okay, what is my dream? Okay, what is my desire? And what is the fear? So perhaps you connect first with the fear. I have a fear, and my fear is this. I would like to do this, but I'm fearful. Perhaps you want to have this job, but the fear of moving abroad, right? Because you don't know what's going to be like. But why is this fear in there? Are you afraid because something might happen to you, or you're afraid to leave because maybe you feel guilty leaving your family, for example? So when we dig into the why of these fears in there, showing us why I'm afraid to take that decision, why I'm afraid to speak, why I'm afraid, what is the consequence, what is the action that is preventing me from doing that? Because and then we will realize, like, okay, so that is the reason, but is that my reason or someone else's reason? Okay, that's when we talk about the ancestral patterns. Perhaps comes in the ideas that perhaps in a family everybody is doctors no matter what, right? And I'm afraid to change that. I'm afraid to say that. I'm afraid to stand on my light, on my wholeness, on my willpower, and to say I want to become a musician, for example, right? And perhaps you're afraid to do that because your family structure might change, and perhaps you might not feel supported. And this is just our survival, okay, kicking in. So allow your mind take place. Thank your mind, your ego, for showing you those fears, because those fears are there for a reason, and they are the providers with the best experiences when we are willing to do that. So ask yourself and ask the fear, why are you here? Why are you trying to show me, to tell me, right? And one step at a time. But in order for us to really have all of this, we have to be heart-centered and grounded. As these energies move so fast, if you're not grounded, it's like if there's a hurricane, right? If a tree, who is healthy and rooted, it just moves, it's flexible, but it will not collapse. But if we are not grounded and we are just perhaps just a few roots here and there, not really deep, a big wind comes and it will just throw us away, and we feel like, oh my God, when is this going to end? So once we are grounded, then we have the moment to say, okay, I can see that I can be flexible. Perhaps there's many things happening around me, and I can be flexible, but it doesn't stop me from being who I am. So I really hope this is helpful for you, and I will be connecting with you once again in December. Have a wonderful month.